Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com, and welcome to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. And every Monday is a mock draft Monday here on the show, where we bring on different insiders and guests like Conor Hughes of the past and so many others. But today is a historic day. For the first time ever, let's bring him on the show. ESPN NFL Analyst, two-time Super Bowl champion. That is Damien Woody and former New York Jets legend. Damien, welcome to the show, my man.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, Damien, I got to be honest. This is checking off the bucket list kind of stuff for me here. So this is great as a Jets guy to get you on the show. Damien, let's start here. And this was something I was going to ask you a couple weeks ago, but let's still bring it here. Tom Brady retiring. I know this is a Jets show, so I'm not sure. Maybe fans are celebrating, quite frankly, that Tom Brady is no longer here with us. But let me ask you. I think you are quite frankly, the perfect example. As a guy who's played with him, competed against him. How do you feel about Tom Brady retiring after being around for 22 years?
Well, listen, I mean, to me, it's a sad moment because you don't get to see greatness. You know, as much as, Jet fans loathe Tom Brady, for 20 years playing in the AFC East, it's just something about watching greatness week in and week out. And, that's what I got to witness up close, as a teammate. That's what I got to witness as an opponent. And just as a casual fan, being retired from the National Football League, I mean, the dude is the ultimate competitor, the ultimate winner. And just to see him put together that body of work, whether it was 20 years in New England and going down to Tampa and winning the Super Bowl down there, he's the best, man. There's no question about it. He's the GOAT.
Is he really done, though? Can we stop all the noise? I'm hearing the whispers, and Jason Light said, "I'll leave the light on." I'm like, what does this mean? I thought he was done. He had haunted me for over 20 years as a Jets fan. Is he done?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, that's the diplomatic thing to say if you're the GM, Jason Light, is like, yeah, if Tom Brady wants to come back, of course I will have a spot for him because he's really that great. But listen, when you put together a 22-year career, Tom Brady's 44 years old, a lot of things come into play. The biggest, no doubt, is the family. And, his wife, Giselle, has been kind of pulling on his cape for a few years now, trying to get him to retire. And I think she finally won out in that battle. So, listen, I would love to see Tom Brady play again because I love seeing greatness on the field. But when it comes to family, man, it's hard, missing all this time. And I think Tom Brady's at that point now where he's ready to transition.
All right, Damien, let's bring it back to the Jets topic. That's what all the viewers are here for. And I need you to settle a debate. And again, I mentioned you're the perfect person for the Tom Brady question. I think you're the perfect person for this question. Now, brace yourself. Tyler Linderbaum. Now, Damien, I don't know if you know this fun fact, but I'll let you know. Did you know that you're the highest drafted center prospect since 1994? And the fact of the matter is your cohort there at ESPN, Mel Kiper, mocked Tyler Linderbaum to the Jets at 10. And if that happened, Tyler Linderbaum would be the highest drafted center in the modern draft era since 1970. So that would be historic. And Damien, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want you to guide this ship. But it seems like you've been against that philosophy, whether at 4 or 10, taking Tyler Linderbaum as a guy who was the last guy, quite frankly, as the highest to ever do it. Why do you feel that way?
Yeah, listen, and this is not a knock on the prospect because I think he is phenomenal. I love everything about his game. He fits perfectly what the Jets want to do. Jets are zone running scheme. So he fits perfectly in that. He has the wrestling background, which I love. It translates so well into playing football, especially at the highest level. So I love everything about his game. The reason I'm against it is because I would rather see the Jets use those premium picks on premium positions. Because this is still a roster that's still bereft of talent at premium positions. I look at cornerback. I look at defensive end. They could use another defensive end. So in a wide receiver, like those are 3 positions that I can think of right off the top of my head that I think the Jets could really use those 2 picks in the first round on premium positions. And I think Tyler Linderbaum is he's more of a luxury than a necessity for what the Jets need right now.
And can you explain this, Damien? Because again, you were a versatile offensive lineman, a talented offensive lineman. To the common Jets fan who doesn't understand the left tackle from their grandma, like from the different varying positions and the value within that on the offensive line, what is the, if you can explain it, what is the difference in value between a center and like a left tackle in terms of how teams value that and whether or not they're willing to take it high or not?
Well, listen, I think, the like center position is the value has gone up because what you're seeing is teams want to create that depth in the pocket. Okay. The quickest way to get pressure on the quarterback is where? Right up the middle. So that's where you're seeing, centers and guards. They I always tell people this. If you want to know what teams think of positions, look at how they get paid. Okay. So running backs don't get paid as much because teams don't value running backs as much, right? But, quarterbacks, pass rushers, cornerbacks, those guys get paid because they're valuable. And so when you look at like left tackle, why is it a premium position? Because you're protecting the quarterback, the blind side of the quarterback. So listen, again, Tyler Linderbaum, I think he's going to be a terrific pro. There's no question about it. I think that highly of his game. But again, for me, and just evaluating the Jets and what they need, I think the Jets need another offensive lineman. They need a guard. Tyler Linderbaum is not a guard, he's a center. Okay, so I think that's a position that the Jets want to address, whether it be free agency or the draft, but they need a guard more so than a center because McGovern, what is his name? Conor McGovern? Mm-hmm. He actually played pretty well. He didn't do a bad job. So, like I said, I think the Linderbaum pick is more of a luxury than a necessity for the Jets.
And by the way, Damien, feel free to pat yourself on the back on the injury report for a limp wrist because last year you joined that Badlands podcast with Joe Caparoso, Conor Rogers, good buddies of mine, and you said that Conor McGovern was destined for a better year. What this past season just was. You said it. Of course, what you said spoke. It was gospel. So you were right. So Conor McGovern, I know people don't like to say it, but look at all the analytics and everything. Conor McGovern was actually pretty good last year. So,
well, the reason I said that is because I have a philosophy. When you play next to good players, guess what usually happens? Your play gets better, right? And we look at Conor McGovern like 2 years ago when he first got here. Look at who he was surrounded by. Okay, that just like when I just said, when you're surrounded by good players, it tends to raise your level. Guess what? The opposite works in effect as well. When you're surrounded by bad talent, it drags you down. So the fact that the Jets went out, they traded up for Elijah Vera Tucker, put him at left guard, that makes Conor McGovern's job a lot easier because he has a really good player next to him, albeit a rookie, he's still a very good young prospect. So I think McGovern is only going to get better. You plug in a right guard, a really good right guard next to him, guess what's going to happen? He's going to become even better. So that's why, I said McGovern is just fine. Leave him where he is, put in the right guard next to him, and watch the Jets offensive line cook.
All right, and we would love to see that, quite frankly. Offensive line would be really good for the New York Jets. Let's keep the offensive line going. Let's keep it rolling here. Damien, if it was up to you, and either your prediction or what you think is going to actually happen, who's the starting day one left tackle? Is it George Fant or Mekhi Becton?
That is a great question. I thought George Fant had a hell of a year last year. You could just see it. He looks – he looked comfortable. And I think, that's the one free agent acquisition that a lot of people were scratching their heads about. Mm-hmm. And you got to give, you got to give Joe Douglas credit, right? Because this is a guy in George Fant who he has a formal basketball background, okay? He's very athletic. The thing with George Fant coming to the Jets was he hadn't started a lot of games. He didn't have a lot of games under his belt. So I think, GM Joe Douglas saw like, okay, this guy just needs playing time. If he gets playing time in the right system, this guy can play very well. And we saw that transpire this past year, where as the season progressed, he just got better and better and better. Now, let me spin it to Mekhi Becton. Mm-hmm. I still think Mekhi Becton is a generational talent.
Mm-hmm.
There is no question about it. And I think last year soured a lot of people as far as Mekhi Becton is concerned because he was out longer than what people thought he was out. Now, I'm not going to get into the injury thing because everybody recovers at different rates, and we know this is a big man. But knowing Mekhi Becton like I know him, and I have, I talked to Mekhi, he's going to be ready to go.
Okay.
And if Mekhi Becton is ready to go, Mekhi Becton can be one of the best left tackles, if not the best tackle in the game. Like, he has that type of potential. Biggest thing, be available. Be available and just be in shape. I think Mekhi Becton's on a mission. And if I had to make a guess right now, I think he's going to win that left tackle job because Mekhi Becton has been listening to all the rumblings, whispers, everything. All you got to do is go to his Twitter account. Just go to his Twitter. Just go to the Twitter account. He's telling you exactly what he's thinking right now. So listen, I'm rooting for him because if Mekhi Becton is right, it only makes the Jets offensive line better. Mm-hmm. So I'm rooting for him to come back right and ready to go.
Again, we're speaking with Damien Woody, a Jets legend here on the show, ESPN NFL Analyst. And everybody, make sure you hit the thumbs up and smash that subscribe button to show your support for all the great guests that have been joining us here on these Mock Draft Mondays. A little bit off topic here, Damien, but I wonder if you're willing to do this. Should there be a playoff mandate on the Jets next year?
It's funny that you said that because I did a Twitter Spaces earlier today. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I told people in that venue was that the expectations needs to raise. Mm. The expectations for the Jets organization needs to raise this year. The Jets have a unique opportunity this offseason to flip this whole organization around. They have a ton of assets as far as cap space and draft picks, draft capital. You can literally flip it around in one offseason. And if Joe Douglas and company do this thing right, there's absolutely no reason why the Jets shouldn't be competing for a playoff spot in 2022. Absolutely no reason. I thought they did a really good job in the 2021 draft. That was kind of like, that's the foundational piece for this organization. Now you can really attack this, attack the holes in this roster with everything they have, all the resources that they have at their disposal. This team should be much more competitive in 2022.
Damien, I think the problem is fans have been mired in mediocrity for so long that they've just accepted it, which is the worst possible thing in the world, which has affected expectations. I heard a fan in your Twitter space go, I just want to be on the In the Hunt graphic for next year. I'm like,
no,
slap them silly. Come on, man.
No, in the hunts and all those. Like, the Jets should be playing meaningful games in December and January. Like, they should be contending for a playoff spot this year. There's really no excuse why they shouldn't, unless some type of catastrophic things happen, with players on the roster. But this team should have a major infusion of talent with this offseason between free agency and the draft. There's no reason why they shouldn't be contending for the playoffs this year.
Beautiful segue, Damien. Okay, give me Damien Woody guys we'll start in free agency that could be available. And you're like, those are Jet guys. I want the Jets to throw the bag, or even if it's not as expensive as that, but you think those guys should be members of the Jets organization. Who are some of the names on your list?
Well, let's see. I haven't jumped too far into free agency like that, but I would say, listen, one guy that I speak highly of is Allen Robinson. Ooh. Allen Robinson is a guy. And Jet fans been talking about Allen Robinson for a couple of years, it seems like. It seems like forever as far as at the wide receiver position. Yeah. I think Allen Robinson, he brings a veteran presence. He's been playing with bad quarterbacks, in Chicago, obviously his time in Jacksonville. This dude can still play. Like, he can still play at a high level. And he's exactly what the Jets need. I've been saying what the Jets offense need. They need a number one guy, not only a number one guy, but they need a guy that can win one-on-one, that can go and get the 50-50 balls. because that's what a young quarterback needs. He needs guys like that. He needs a tight end over the middle. So I think the Jets, when you just talk about Zach Wilson and building around Zach Wilson, go get him a number one receiver. I think Allen Robinson would make a lot of sense for the Jets.
Let's save A-Rob. Blake Bortles, Mitchell Trubisky. For God's sakes, can this man catch a break? I mean, he hasn't got a ball from anybody. It's a sad story. I think the Jets should save this man from his career. I mean, it's just been really disappointing. Okay, let's bring up another guy here that I think could be pretty interesting, and that is in another sphere of this free agency, the tight end position. Jet fans have been craving for a tight end. There hasn't been one probably since the Dustin Keller days. If we're talking about a tight end that's been reliable, it seems like a position, quite frankly, the Jets have ignored for years. It's finally time to pay due.
Yeah, and during the season, I've been saying Dalton Schultz, right? The tight end from the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if he's going to shake free from Dallas because I think Dallas really values Dalton Schultz. But to me, he's the number one tight end. Like, he's a guy in this offense, Mike LaFleur's offense. Listen, you could clearly see that Mike LaFleur got away from what he really wants to run. This is an offense that likes to have multiple tight ends on the field. It goes back to San Francisco. We see it with George Kittle and the different tight ends that they have out there. That's something that the Jets need. They need multiple tight ends. So if I'm the Jets, I'm attacking it both in free agency and the draft because it just gives you, not only does it help your running game, but it also dictates personnel on the field. If you got multiple tight ends on the field, guess what? The defense can't go out there and throw a whole bunch of speed out there on the field because you can run the ball on them. So it just dictates personnel, and I think that's more in line with what Mike LaFleur wants to run as an offense with the New York Jets. Because remember this, the Jets want to be a run-first team. They want to run the football and then play action off of that. So if you can have a couple tight ends that can run block, that'll only enhance this Jets offense.
If I'm picking up what you're putting down, are you saying ground and pound?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's ground and pound reincarnated in 2022. That's where the Jets will be at their best when they can run the ball. Let's think about this. I want everyone to envision us. Envision a healthy Mekhi Becton with George Fant, a new right guard, a couple tight ends, Michael Carter, adding another back to complement Michael Carter. And you're running the ball, you're grounding and pounding, and then you have a Allen Robinson, Elijah Moore throwing behind the defense because you've been running the ball so well. I think Jets fans will sign up for that.
Oh, pinch myself. I'm ready to dream the dream. I'm ready to dream the dream. That's phenomenal. Let me ask you a quick side question because there is a lot of optimism when you see Michael Carter rookie year. There's a lot of optimism when you see Elijah Moore. I ask you, Damien, feel free to slap me down with this, but is there any concern about the injuries? Elijah Moore, you had the quad, rolled out the preseason quad again. There's been a lot of pops, and Michael Carter, too, had a handful of injuries with concussions and things of that nature. Is there any level of concern for you for those guys in staying healthy, or are you pretty certain that they're going to be good?
I think they'll be okay. I think, it's all a part of the growing pains of playing in the National Football League. It's a longer season. It's a grind. Rookies tend to hit a wall during the season. So those type of things happen along the way. I think with a full off season ahead of them, knowing what they went through last season, I think you can see, these guys putting on some weight, putting on more muscle, and the expectation. Now they know what a full season is like in the National Football League, and these guys have a better understanding of how to take care of their bodies for the season.
This is a random question, Damien. Not sure if you've been asked it, but it's been on my mind for a while. It was one of the top questions I had to get to. Your former teammate, Darrelle Revis, is eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame next year in 2023. Quite simply, is he a first-ballot Hall of Famer?
Oh, absolutely. Darrelle Revis, outside of Tom Brady, is maybe the best player I've ever played with. Wow. Darrelle Revis was a marvel to watch in practice, the way he went about his business in practice, and then he carried it over in the game. Like literally, you have Revis Island. There's no other islands out there. Like, it's just Revis Island where he's locking down the half of the field. That is, to me, just shows the level of greatness that one player had displayed over his career. And I just look at Revis, to me, in my opinion, I don't have a vote in this, but he's a first ballot Hall of Fame, in my opinion. No question.
Damien, if you did you realize how good or how special Revis was in the moment? And if so, when did it hit you like, wow, this guy is not only just really good, like he's great?
Oh, yeah, I saw it. I saw it when I first came to the Jets. Again, you saw it in practice, the way he locked people up, the technique, everything. You just look back, you just watching practice like, man, this dude is another level. Like, there's no one even close to this dude as far as skill set is concerned. And you know, as a player, as a player and as a teammate, you were just thinking in your head, man, I'm glad that dude is on my team. Okay. and not on the opposition.
Yeah, that's for sure. And by the way, I've had enough of the slander on Twitter with this random island there's no other island.
There's no other island but Revis Island. No other island.
Come on,
none,
Damien.
zero.
Can we stop this? Like, Damien, that's my goal today, is for people to listen to this, and then anytime they see any island nonsense on Twitter, to immediately shut it down. I mean, ridiculous.
Other people have landing strips, like that. Landing strips. You know, there's only one island. Everyone else has landing strips.
Yeah, that's it. That's well put. Again, we're speaking with Damien Woody here, only for a few more minutes. Damien, what's your temperature on Zach Wilson? Some people are crazy. Yes, he's going to be a star. Others are like, wow, he's going to be terrible. Where do you sit on the dichotomy?
I think, you know, when I look at Zach, I think you see the talent, right? You see the talent, you know, you see the mobility, you see the arm talent. You saw the progression at the end of the year. Now what you got to show is, okay, now it's time to take it up. We need a big jump next year. We need a big jump. You got to feel for what the speed of the NFL is like in your rookie year. He didn't really have an opportunity to play with Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. I think they only played like 30-some snaps together. It was something crazy. Like, he didn't have any snaps together as a full unit. So my expectation is when the Jets add more pieces of offense, those guys stay on the field. That's how you develop a quarterback. And that's when I think next year we should see a huge jump from Zach Wilson, because the game should be slower and the talent level should be much higher that he's surrounded with.
Is there anything specific you're looking for? Is it a stat thing? Is it just an eye test thing? Like, what do you need to see from Zach Wilson to feel assured that, okay, the Jets have found their guy in 2020?
Well, listen, I think that, just processing, right? Processing, not holding onto the ball, processing, getting the ball out of your hands, making plays. The one thing I don't want for Zach is I don't want it to take away that playmaking ability. That's what made him special. That's what made him the number 2 overall pick, in last year's draft. And so what I want to see from Zach is I want to see that playmaking ability, the off-schedule plays, but also playing within structure, getting the ball out of his hands, because we've seen even when Zach wasn't playing, the offense works when you do what you're supposed to do. And so I think with the talent that the Jets want to add on offense, if he can do that, play within structure, get the ball out of his hands quickly, and add those ad-lib plays that make him special, we could see a huge jump from Zach Wilson this upcoming season.
Damien, you nailed it. So many people want to take away the thing that makes Zach Wilson special and then try to be a robot and say, okay, now just do this. No, you can't take that away. You just got to try to surround him with talent. That's
it. Just surround him with talent. Okay, because if you surround him with talent, then the talent can take over. Because like Robert Saleh said, when Zach Wilson got drafted, we want to let the guys around you, uplift you and build you up. And so that's what the Jets, need to do. Continue to surround him with talent and let the talent around him help him elevate, his game.
All right, Damien, final one before we get you out of here. We make every guest do this on the show, but we'll do it in a very special way this time. The Jets have the 4th and 10th overall pick, respectively. I want you to tell me what is the best possible thing that can happen. Give me the best case scenario for the Jets at 4, and then we'll go over to 10. So at 4, they got 3 other teams in front of them. They could go in a lot of different directions. But in your opinion, what is the best case scenario for the Jets when they're on the clock at 4?
Oh, man, that is – oof. I'm going to say the combination of Ekwonu, the offensive lineman from NC State, and Sauce Gardner at cornerback. I think that will be tremendous for the Jets, to be honest with you. Both of those guys, you're talking about solidifying the offensive line. We're talking about ground and pound 2022. That will go a long ways towards ground and pound 2022. And then getting a number 1 corner. I think, as I was pleased with the young cornerbacks from the Jets, but they need a true number 1. They need a guy that can go out there and lock people down and create turnovers. That's really the one thing that's been missing from the Jets in their secondary is guys that can create turnovers, get their hands on the football. If they can come away with a Sauce Gardner at cornerback and then let Bryce Hall and Brandon Echols battle it out for number 2, I think their secondary would be much better for it.
Damien, last question here. It's on that topic. Can you teach that in the NFL? For instance, all those corners, they couldn't catch an interception for their life. They had a few opportunities. Can you teach that, or is that just something you either have as an athlete or don't?
No, you can teach it, and Brandon Echols is a great case because you saw it. You saw him getting his hands on the football more last year towards the end of the season. So, that's the one thing I saw from Brandon Echols. I'm like, okay, the dude is really athletic. His numbers tested off the charts. And then towards the end of the year, you saw him start to get interceptions. He made, the one interception against the Dolphins. We saw the one against Tampa Bay. So he started getting his hands on the football. Now he needs to carry that over and just, turn up the heat as far as that aspect of his game. Now you're starting to cook in the secondary. If you can have a Sauce Gardner and then your number 2 corner is one of these, young cats that's elevating their game on the other side.
Damien, you're one of the best in the business. Thank you so much for hopping on, man. Blessed. Like I said, it was a bucket list item. You're phenomenal on air, and it's great. And I love that you keep your Jets connections. I know you've played in a couple of places, but you keep that Jets love and Twitter Spaces and how engaging you are on social media. From Jets Nation as a whole, from me to you, we appreciate that so much, man.
No, I love Jets fans of the organization. That treated me well during my time there, and it's just it's great following Jet fans and the passion that the fans and the organization has. So I'm truly excited about this offseason and the 2022 season.
All right, it should be a lot of fun. Damien, thanks again for joining us.